What is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Kate and Jay here. Give me 1 second to fix the microphone. Give me 1 second, and we will be fine. Give me 1 second. I apologize for the little delay. I know my internet may be a little spotty. Okay, we are good. I do apologize if the internet's a little spotty. If like my face pauses or freezes on any funny faces. You'll have some screenshots, I guess. But what is going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden is the name. Hope we are all doing extremely well. I see we got a couple people in the chat. I appreciate usually the regulars, I guess, for the most part, for tuning in. Definitely, I guess you guys have post notifications on. So always appreciate, you guys usually for being in the chat already. But what's going on, everyone? Mets Talk with Hayden is the name. Hope you are all doing extremely well. Before we get started into the New York Mets and the Houston Astros series recap, as well as the New York Mets and Texas Rangers series preview, and then, of course, New York Mets news, and, of course, all your guys' comments, questions, and concerns. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything related to the Mets, don't hesitate, guys. Drop it below. I read all comments regardless. So definitely don't hesitate. If you have any questions, drop below. But before we get into all that, everyone, please smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, tell your friends about this channel, and, of course, much more as always. Extremely excited to go over all New York Mets news. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about in today's stream. So let's stop wasting any more time and let's dive right into it. So the New York Mets certainly had a problem. Houston, there is a problem, and certainly there was a huge problem. The Houston Astros came into New York to play the New York Mets, and unfortunately it went south, literally. The Mets unfortunately lost both games and all 4 games that they played overall this season to the Houston Astros. Very rough series. As we could see, this team did not look very lively. Overall, really unfortunate. Let's get into it. Getting into game 1, the New York Mets lost the first game by a score of 9-1. This game was practically over before it started. We had Carlos "Cookie" Carrasco on the bump for the Mets, and you really would have hoped that Carrasco would have got another a clean outing. He was coming off of a really rough outing, against the Houston Astros, his last appearance in Houston, and unfortunately, that was due to back tightness, and that was his excuse. But unfortunately, we saw the same issue in the first inning. Getting started with a slash line, he went 4 1/3 innings, surrendering 6 hits, 3 runs, 3 walks, and 4 strikeouts with 74 pitches overall. So Carrasco really did not have a great outing. We saw in the first inning against I believe it was the first batter. I believe Jose Altuve is the Astros leadoff man. He had a full count, and he check swung at it, and Carrasco disagreed with the home plate umpire's call. His assessment was that it was not a swing, but Carrasco begged to differ, and he claimed that really got to his head and I guess made him really screw up in the first inning, obviously giving up 4 runs. That really is not good to see. Overall, we saw that first inning really got to him. Walked 2 batters, Bregman got a hit, and then Tucker, drove 3 runs in, with a 3-run homer. So, the hard contact was surreal there, but unfortunately, that's just how the game works. Guys will have clean outings. Hopefully, Carrasco, I couldn't tell you his outings when he was with Cleveland against Houston because they were both American League teams. So maybe you think it's just something with the Astros lineup, but back-to-back games against the Astros that he is going to play in, and he unfortunately does not get the job done. So, overall, really unfortunate outing for Carrasco. Is he going to be of question now? Are the first inning issues back? Carrasco went on a huge stretch where, he wasn't giving up any runs in the first inning. I think with the exclusion of, what happened in, maybe the first, couple outings he's had this season, he's only given up like 1 or 2 runs in the first inning. So really unfortunate. Following that, Chasen Shreve came in, and oh boy, this dude is something to talk about. Chasen Shreve, 1/3 of an inning, giving up 3 hits and 3 runs, 18 pitches, 12 of those in the strike zone. It's honestly shocking that this dude hasn't been DFA'd yet. I think it's a joke that he is still up at the major league level. There's a reason you signed him to a minor league deal. I think that's fair to say. And I mean, this dude started off the season really good, and he was jinxed. Everyone said, oh, he's going to do great. The Mets posted something on their Instagram and Twitter about how well he's been, and it jinxed it. I mean, he's been horrible since, giving up a lot of home runs, a lot of hits, walking the ballpark. He just has not been doing his job. So I think it's safe to say that this dude definitely should be eligible to get DFA'd. I know I worded that weird. He should be getting DFA'd, no doubt about it. I mean, I think that the fact is you see guys like Colin Holderman, who has been putting up a much better season than he is, and he's not even at the major league level consistently. I think that's just a joke to say. So he definitely should be DFA'd. I mean, like I said, there's a reason you sign him to a minor league deal. You know, it's really unfortunate that this was the route that overall happened with him, but I mean, hey, that's the game. That's how it works. Just overall, really bad outing from him. You know, it sucks to see. It really does. So obviously, following Jason Shreve, you had Williams come in for 2 1/3, and Adonis Medina for 2. Pretty clean outing. They didn't give up a run. 6 strikeouts for both of them combined. So phenomenal outing there from the bullpen. In terms of this offense, in the 9th inning, James McCann had an RBI walk to bring in J.D. Davis. So we'll leave it at that. Offense was another joke this game, I will say. The offense was a joke. Ender Inciarte taking Canna's spot on the day, 0 for 2. I couldn't tell you. The only guy that actually had a good day was Marte, who went 3 for 4. He had back-to-back doubles and a single. Otherwise, this whole offense was just honestly a joke this game, and just a joke. I definitely am going to say just horrible game offensively. I mean, McNeil went 1 for 3, okay. Alonzo went 1 for 3, okay. Nimmo went 1 for 3. But when I'm seeing 0 for 4 from Canna, when I'm seeing 0 for 3 from McCann, 0 for 3 for Escobar, Escobar, we're going to talk about that when we're done. Valdez gets the win, Carrasco gets the L. And getting into game 2 and the final game of this 2-game series, and the final game the Mets will play against the Astros for the time being. Mets lost this game by a score of 2-1. You had Taijuan Walker on the bump for the Mets, and this dude got robbed of a win. 7 1/3, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, 93 pitches, 57 of those in the strike zone. Phenomenal outing from Walker. This dude did what he was supposed to do. The offense didn't back him up. I mean, overall, he did great. He was getting millions of ground balls to Luis Guillorme. I think that's a hyperbole, but I think they said he had like 14 or 15 ground balls to Luis Guillorme. And I mean, this dude retired most of the batters he was supposed to. And unfortunately, his offense couldn't work for him. Walker looked really sharp, a lot of ground balls. That splitter was really working for him. He kept the ball on the ground for most of the game. Like I said, he only had 4 hits, and 2 of those were on the ground. Unfortunately, in the 8th inning, he was taken out. Edwin Diaz comes in, 2/3, gives up a hit and strikes out 2 to get out of it. 14 pitches, phenomenal there. A little questionable why you'd put Diaz in the 8th instead of Drew Smith or another setup man, but that's the thing, is the Mets need a setup man. And then, of course, in the 9th inning, in the top of the 9th, Drew Smith comes in, and Drew Smith has been okay this season. I'm not going to say he's been great, but he's been okay this season. And Drew Smith comes in for an inning, gives up 2 hits, and literally needs 1 more strike to get out of it, and gives up a 2-run homer to Jason Castro, the Astros backup catcher. So that's how the Mets and Astros series went. I would love to talk about the offense, but there were no runs scored. In the 1st inning, the Mets had runners on 1st and 2nd with no outs. It was unfortunate. You had Nimmo get on with the double. Marte went 0 for 4, swung. Lindor went 0 for 4. I think grounded out to advance Nimmo to 3rd. Alonzo walked. You have runners on 1st and 2nd with 2 outs, and McNeil comes up. And listen, I'll give McNeil, I'll pardon him a little bit. This dude put up a really good at-bat against Verlander. This dude put up, at least a 10 to 12 at pitch at-bat against Verlander. So I'm not going to go against him. He got 1 unlucky change that he swung at. Overall, he was putting up good bats at least, but unfortunately, it's a result-oriented game, and that's how it's going to work, baseball. So, yeah, in terms of this offense, it was pretty much quiet. Verlander practically went almost the whole game, only giving up 2 hits. And those 2 hits were from Brandon Nimmo and Ender Inciarte. Everyone else went 0 for 2 or 0 for 4 or whatever. Overall, horrible outing offensively from Lindor, 0 for 4. From Marte 0 for 4, I'll give Marte a break because he's been really hot for the most part, and he can't carry the offense, obviously. Same for Alonzo and same for McNeil. But when we're seeing Dom Smith come into these games and going 0 for 3 and going 0 for 4, I love Dom, and we're going to get into Dom Smith towards, a little bit later in the stream because I want to finish this recap first. But overall, just horrible series. I will say for the least, just a horrible series. I mean, I saw a mega of 2021 vibes right here from this Mets team. I'm not saying they're going back to their 2021 season, but just horrible overall series for this Mets team. I mean, I get it. You're facing a left-handed pitcher in Valdez, and as of right now, a Cy Young favorite in Justin Verlander. But both of these games were easily winnable. They were. So, yeah, I mean, overall, really unfortunate game. Mets lose back-to-back games and currently have a 3-game losing streak for the first time this season. So I guess me saying that means they're, doing well. I mean, listen, you're 18 games above 500. So I'm not sitting here panicking, but, I don't want to use the argument first place above 500 for so long. But we'll see. I mean, now let's get into some more positive news. In the New York Mets are going to be playing the Texas Rangers in a 3-game set in interleague action at Citi Field. I always love interleague games. I don't know why, but the Texas Rangers are coming into town. Rangers are 2 games under 500. They are 36-38 with a win-loss record of 19-18 on the road. So we'll see how these two teams can fare with each other. The Mets are coming into this series 47-29 with a home record of 24-12. So that's not too bad. I guess you'd like to see that. Obviously, getting the bump tonight for the New York Mets, we have Chris Bassitt, who is getting the start tonight for the New York Mets against the former division rival that he used to play for on the Oakland Athletics in the Texas Rangers. Keep in mind, Bassitt has definitely made plenty of starts against the Texas Rangers, considering that he was an Oakland A. Overall, biggest thing for, Bassitt, he's been, somewhat, I guess, good for the most part this season. I mean, I don't care about his ERA. I think a big part of the inflated ERA are the home runs. 13 home runs given up this season, so you hope that he can try and limit that, not give up any tonight. The barrels are not there exactly, but he does give up a fair amount of harder contact, a lot of hard contact, I will say. Overall, keep that sinker-slider combination. I mean, Bassitt has a weapon, an arsenal of weapons, the sinker, the slider, the cutter, the four-seamer. I think he may have a curve and a changeup, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know he has more than 4 pitches that he uses on a consistent basis. But, overall, that's what I'm going to say for Chris Bassitt. Overall, you hope that he can go, maybe 6 innings. I mean, I'm a little weary with this team's bullpen right now. So if he can go out there and give you 6 innings of baseball, that would be more than ideal, I would say, for a successful Chris Bassitt start. And looking at Chris Bassitt's numbers against a lot of the Rangers lineup, like stated, he did face a lot of these guys when he was in Oakland. He has pretty favorable numbers against them. I mean, you see Adolis Garcia, 11 at-bats, has yet to get a hit off of him. Jonah Heim, 0 for 6. Nate Lau, 0 for 9. Brad Miller, 0 for 5. Corey Seager, 0 for 3. Marcus Semien, 0 for 3 when they were with other teams. The only guys that actually have okay numbers against him, I guess, would be Cole Calhoun, who in 12 at-bats is 333 average and 3 Rbis. But overall, for the most part, pretty good numbers. So hopefully Bassitt can be lights out tonight. And obviously, looking at Bassitt's, slash line overall, 6-5 on the season, a 4.01 ERA, 1.15 WHIP, 89 innings pitched, 95 strikeouts. Maybe he'll get 100 strikeouts tonight. That could be ideal. But we will see how things can go for Bassitt. For the Texas Rangers, they will have their I don't know if he's their ace of their rotation. I don't think so. But they will have Glenn Otto, who was actually drafted by the Yankees, little fun fact. And, you look at the dude's stats, and they're not ideal. I mean, okay, 4.3 win-loss record, 5.31 ERA, 1.51 WHIP. Okay, not great, but not good. 42 1/3 innings pitched, 34 strikeouts, 26 walks. So, I mentioned the walks. The walk ratio is really difficult for him. Otto will walk plenty of batters, being in the 4th percentile, according to Baseball Savant, in walk percentage. So, Mets, guys like Nimmo, guys like Marte, guys like, McNeil, Lindor, even Alonzo, they could take advantage of this guy's command and definitely try and just walk. Get runners on. Get guys on base. That's what I care about. If you get on base by a walk, go for it. Gives up a lot of hard contact, plenty of barrels we could see tonight, allegedly. So we'll see. He is a righty, so that's good. Has, a sinker, fastball, slider, so Mets could definitely feast on that slider possibly. So we'll see how things can go for Glenn Otto versus Chris Bassett tonight. And tonight's game is an Apple TV game, unfortunately. And getting into tomorrow's game, which is a 4:10 start, we will have David Peterson on the bump for the Mets. And David Peterson overall has really been doing an up-to-par job, to say for the least, this season. I'm loving what we've been seeing out of David Peterson. He has a win-loss record of 4-1, a 3.10 ERA, a 3.10 ERA as stated, a 1.24 WHIP, 52 1/3 innings, 50 strikeouts and 22 walks. With Peterson, I've really been loving the slider. Has been very deadly for him. We know that he's not so much trying to be aggressive and get strikeouts and whiffs and swinging and misses. He's kind of just trying to be a ground ball pitcher, and I think he's capable of, being that. He's not giving up a lot of hard contact. He gives up some light contact, which, can be a little unfortunate, but you have Luis Guillorme's defense out there, and he's been on fire lately, so that could definitely help him out. But the slider has definitely been intact. He's looking great there. So David Peterson will be on the bump for the Mets. And, of course, for the Texas Rangers, they will have the southpaw in Martin Perez, who is definitely a case for Cy Young for the American League. 6-2 on the season, a 2.22 ERA, a 1.16 WHIP, 93 1/3 innings pitched, 77 strikeouts, and only 2 home runs. So the dude doesn't give up a lot of hard contact, a lot of homers. So, if you're a Rangers fan, that's good to see. Obviously, big concern coming in is that he's a lefty, and we know the Mets really can't hit against left-handed pitching. We saw it in Miami. We've seen it against the Marlins. We've seen it against a lot of lefties. There's only like 1 or 2 lefties out there that they could feast on in Patrick Corbin, and maybe besides Julio Urias this season. Otherwise, their numbers against lefties are not great. Like I said, we'll have to see how things go there. He doesn't walk a lot of guys, but he also doesn't strike out a lot of guys. So that's kind of good to see, is the strikeout rate is low. So if you put the ball in play, eventually good things will happen. So hopefully we could see that out of him today, or if you're a Rangers fan, out of him. Obviously, nice sinker, nice changeup, very elite, been a big part to his success this season. And then, of course, getting into Game 3 and the final game of this New York Mets and Texas Rangers series preview, the New York Mets will have Carlos "Cookie" Carrasco on the bump on Sunday. It'll be a 1:40 start. They are not playing on ESPN Baseball or Peacock like the last couple weeks. Carlos Carrasco will be on the bump for the Mets. Carrasco 8-4 in the season, a 4.85 ERA, a 1.33 WHIP, 81 2/3 innings pitched, and of course 81 strikeouts. Home runs are definitely there, giving up 10 home runs. You don't like to see that. Overall, with Bassett, I'm literally just going to say get out of the first inning, because back-to-back starts with first inning struggles, it's not favored in my opinion. So just get out of the first inning, and we'll figure it out from there. Overall, when it comes to him, hopefully he can get the job done. And he obviously will be facing Josiah Gray. John Gray, my apologies. Josiah Gray is from the Nationals. Josiah Gray. Josiah Gray is currently 4-3 on the season with a 3.89 ERA, a 1.16 WHIP, 71 2/3 innings, 76 strikeouts. Obviously, John Gray looking pretty good for the most part. He played with the Rockies, and Texas got in this offseason. He's been doing a pretty up-to-par job for them. So if you're a Rangers fan, or for the Rangers' sake, I guess good for them for the most part. And overall, I guess getting into who are some stars to look at this series, I think the biggest thing, for these two teams, who to look out for, I think if you can control Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. Yes, I get it. You're probably thinking to yourself, Hayden, Marcus Semien and Corey Seager have been horrible this whole season. Look at their numbers. Okay. You can make that argument. Keep in mind, they are getting a little bit hot. I will say Semien the last 7 games, well, maybe not. I don't know. Last 30 games, he's actually been getting better. Same for Corey Seager. And those are guys that could just pimp one into the upper decks. And, okay, they have a low average, low OPS, but they could definitely hit home runs. And with the Mets, with Bassett, with Carrasco, you don't want that. They are giving up a lot of home runs this season, so you don't want that. So if you can try and contain those two guys, I think those two guys are the guys that are hot this series. For the Mets, I think I'll give three guys. I think Starling Marte is going to have a good series. He's been putting the ball in play a lot. He's been getting on base, a lot of base hits, a lot of hard contact. He's hitting the ball pretty hard. Brandon Nimmo also once again hitting the ball pretty well, really spreading the field, starting to work better in the account in counts. In the beginning of the season and last month, we were seeing a lot of 0-2 counts with him, 1-2 counts, and he's kind of getting better with that. And I think Pete Alonso, obviously, this dude has really been putting up phenomenal at bats. He's walking tremendously. He's getting home runs, BABIP hits, keep it up. So those are the three guys that I think you definitely want to watch out for the Mets this series. In terms of pitchers, I think David Peterson will have a good start. I really do. I think the Mets are going to go 2-3 this series. That is what I would hope for. A sweep would be awesome. But go 2 for 3, and I'll come onto the stream next time excited and happy about that. So now, getting into all of your guys' comments, questions, and concerns, as we could see, there's a lot going on with the Mets. Obviously, they have their first full losing streak of 3 games for the first time this season. So I guess that's good to say, hey, it's the first time this season. I mean, the fact that it takes you until, the last day of June to get a losing streak going on, that's pretty damn good. I'll say for the least. That is pretty good. So overall, if they could keep playing at the pace they are, play above 500 ball, it's all you could really do for the most part. So let's get into your guys' comments, questions, concerns. If you have any, don't hesitate, drop it below. But what's going on, everyone? Gio, what's happening, man? Cubs fandom, what's going on? Cubbies fan, he says, how was your time at Wrigley Field? Yes, you must have saw on Twitter. If you guys are not following me on Twitter, do that, please. At Mets Hayden. But yeah, my time in Wrigley was awesome. I saw 2 Cubs and Padres games out there in Chicago. Overall, really cool experience at Wrigley Field. I mean, I'll say this, the Cubs may not be the best ball club right now, but their fans make the most of it. I mean, I was sitting in the bleachers, and it's a crazy atmosphere. It's all college kids and, young adults like myself, and it's really fun. I mean, the atmosphere is electric. They had the cup snake thing. I mean, half of the fans were drunk the whole time, but hey, it's baseball game, why go for it. But yeah, I mean, overall, really fun experience. I definitely would definitely rank it a 10 out of a 10. Like, regardless, even if you're a casual fan, it's just a checklist thing to do. It's really fun. Karen, what's happening? Trey, Cal, Seth, what's going on, guys? Mark, Peter, what's going on? Ruben, Brandon, what's going on? Happy 4th. You too, man. You too. Kobe says, hey, Hayden, how's it going? Unfortunate series against Houston. Hoping for a better series now. That's all you can hope for, man. Trey, with our first big comment of the day, is going to say, Houston was a good test for our Mets. We started bad the series, but the last game we were there. Taijuan Walker matched up to Verlander. Just imagine when Max and the GOAT, I'm assuming you mean DeGrom, is back. I ain't worried. Yeah, I say this. When people say, oh, we're going to collapse, like last year, I say, well, getting DeGrom and Scherzer back, it's going to be hard to do that. The Mets collapsed last year because they didn't have DeGrom. Scherzer was a Dodger, national, whatever. Trade deadline, he was a Dodger. And then DeGrom, he wasn't there. So, I mean, if you have a rotation of DeGrom, of Scherzer, let's say Carrasco is going to be streaky. Okay, put him to the side. At that third spot, you have Walker, phenomenal. You have Peterson, been phenomenal. Hopefully you can get McGill back shortly. He's been good. Bassett. I mean, Williams. I mean, these guys are holding, they're holding down the fort well. So, right now, if our pitching, if Peterson can go out there and give me, 5-6 innings, how he's been pitching recently, same goes for Bassett. Same goes for Walker. And honestly, I'm not even concerned with Walker one bit. My biggest concern is Carrasco, and we'll see how things can approach with him. But overall, if the Mets pitching can do what they are now, the starting at least, I'm not worried. The bullpen, that's going to be addressed. But getting DeGrom and Scherzer back, I mean, yeah, DeGrom, his first couple starts isn't going to go, 7, 8, 9 innings. But, maybe a month or two when DeGrom's back in, if we're talking September, DeGrom can easily give you 7 innings. Same for Scherzer. Scherzer's less of a concern. It's more DeGrom's a concern. Mr. Brandon, what's going on? He says, go Tigers. Yeah, man. Absolutely. I was just at Comerica Park, actually. Sports fan says, I definitely wouldn't say they're treading water. They have the best record in the NL and second best only to the Yankees. Yeah, I mean, am I worried? Yeah. I think, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the Mets are going to win, listen, the Mets are going to lose games. I mean, the best team in the league last year was, who was it? The Giants, who won 107 games. So let's see what the Giants' record was last year. And I'm not comparing this to the Mets, obviously, but just for the sake of losing games, standings MLB. So the Rays, they won 100 games, they lost 62. The Giants, they lost 55. Teams are going to lose games. Teams are going to lose 60, 70 games. Right now, the Mets haven't even lost 30. They lost 29. For the Mets being 47 and 29, you have a winning percentage of 6-18. You're 3.5 games back. I'll take it. Yeah, I get it. You're 4-6 in your last 10. That's not ideal. I get it. The Braves are hot. They're 6-4 in their last 10. You're only 3.5 games back. Okay. And, like I said, you play how many more games against the Mets and Braves? 15? Every single one of those games are going to be huge. So, we'll see how things can go there. Kobe says, I want to get a Max Scherzer Binghamton Rumble Pony jersey. That's funny. I actually want to get some of the minor league hats. That'd be pretty cool. So maybe make a shelf and display them on my wall. That'd be pretty neat. Cal, what's going on, buddy? He says, hey, Hayden, rough time against the Astros. Anyway, on to the Rangers. I love Jam. Yeah, absolutely, man. Ruben says, hey, Hayden, how are you feeling about the Mets? Let's go, Mets. I'm feeling somewhat okay. I mean, am I, super positive? No. Am I going to sit here and say the season's over? No, that'd be foolish. Do I think there's a lot of things that need to be addressed? 100%. I think there's a lot of things that do need to be addressed, with this Mets team, whether it's the bullpen and a DH. And we'll get into that. I just want to go through some of these comments and, we'll touch on, I guess, kind of the short-term resolution for the Mets until the deadline and the All-Star break, the second half, whatever. And my apologies if my screen is a little frozen or something. Let me see if it's... it seems all right. Kobe says, on a scale of 1 to 10, how worried are you about the Mets in the second half? In my opinion, I'm not too worried, considering that DeGrom and Scherzer will be back. How can they get any worse? Likewise, man. Pretty much like I said before. Exactly. Cal says, it's sad to say this, but I think it's time to move on from Dom Smith. Right now, the 7 through 9 of this lineup isn't doing anything. Okay, well, this is a great time to bring up my take. So this is what I say. I've really loved having Dom Smith on this team in the past. I really think he's been a great clubhouse guy. I mean, with the cookie show and, being friendly with a lot of these players, he's been a great clubhouse character. And I get it. The Mets have really had a journey with him. We drafted him. He had his sleep apnea issues. He had problems getting to the ballpark on time. He was very overweight. He was obese. He lost all the weight, and he got over the sleep apnea. And we saw him in 2019, and we hope that he could be a bigger bench role. And we saw how he played in the 2020 shortened COVID season, and he was phenomenal. We really thought that he was ready to be an everyday player. And unfortunately, coming into 2021, that was just not the case. And right now, he's his swing is completely changed, and he's not the hitter that he used to be. And I think that's overall just really unfortunate that was the case for him. I wish him the best of luck. In my opinion, I think he is gone at this deadline. I don't think you could hold on to him anymore, considering that, listen, Dom Smith has kind of made it awkward and, came out and said he'd be fine being traded. But, dude, have you seen how your offensive stats are? Don't get me wrong. I'm sure there's teams out there that are, Moneyball or analytically or just hopeful invested, and they'll go after him. But right now, I think it'd be very hard. His value to trade is low. If you traded him in the 2021 offseason before 2021, his value was high. Maybe even last year. But now, what's his value worth? I mean, getting sent down to Syracuse this season so far, he'll probably get sent down. He could possibly get sent down again, considering how things go. Right now, he's not doing well, so we'll consider him the 7th hitter. The 8th hitter, whoever that is, in Escobar, this dude has, this is what I say. I'm giving Guillorme starts. Guillorme has proved himself. I underestimated him, I will say. I really came into the season not confident in Guillorme. I thought he was a defensive adjustment, and he shut me up. He's getting on base. He's making contact and just getting little hits. He's not going to hit home runs, and that's okay. But if he gets on base, gets base hits, doubles, walks, on base percentage, and play elite defense. I mean, the defense this dude has been playing has been insane. Ray Ordonez type, Gold Glove caliber type. I'm giving him third base and telling Escobar you're sitting on the bench. Because right now we're seeing Escobar come up 0 for 4, 0 for 3 with the walk, 0 for 4 with the walk, 1 for 4. No. He had a home run in the Houston series when we were losing by what, 9-1? So, listen, with Escobar, he's a player that's proven. I'm not going to say, oh, he's not proven. There's time for him to come out of his slump. But, the Braves are getting closer. The Phillies are making noise. Even the Marlins are making noise somehow. Every game counts. I don't want to sit here and say, oh, but it's July. Every single game counts. That's just how baseball works, unfortunately. So, we're going to have to see how it goes with that. But right now, Escobar, I would easily bench him and start Guillorme. Because right now we're seeing Escobar come up to bat, get into these 0-2 counts. It's not like Escobar is making hard contact and he's getting unlucky and it's finding a glove. No, he's not even hitting the ball hard. He's getting ground balls and strikeouts. That's what he's been doing. And every single account that Escobar steps into, I feel like it's 0-2. I don't know if that's just me. I don't know if you guys feel the same. But I feel every time I see Escobar come into an account, it's 0-2. 0-2 count, he strikes out or swings a little foul ball or a pop fly, and it's ridiculous. It really is. And when it comes to McCann, everyone wanted him back. I guess it's just a new face that you don't have to see Mazika. I think he's better than Mazika right now as it stands. But right now, with looking at the way James McCann has been, he frames okay. I think he's better than last season. His defensive stats and defensive metrics are better than last season. Offensively, this dude's horrible. Rally killer, double play machine. There's really no other way to say it. He's gonna ground out. He's not getting on base a lot. Just say my words and just say that. Everyone says call up Alvarez, and I understand that. We've been seeing how Alvarez is playing. This is my problem why I wouldn't want to call up Alvarez this season. For starters, the dude hasn't even played in AAA yet. So you got to take that into consideration. He's 20 years old. And listen, I've always been a big proponent of calling up our prospects at a much younger age. I've always said that the Mets always call up their prospects a little bit older than other teams, whether it's 25, 26. And, you look at other teams, the Braves, Acuna, Nationals, Soto. Start calling guys up 2021. Catcher's the one position you can't do that with. If we're talking about a third baseman in Beatty or a first baseman or an outfielder, okay. Catcher's the one position you can't do because there's so much more to the game than what a typical first baseman or shortstop or outfielder would do. This dude has to frame all the defensive metrics, and he needs as much practice defensively as any catcher would. Considering that we live in a day and age where umpires are, I guess much more rigid and much more complex to get a favorite to count on. This isn't 1990s with Mike Piazza where he was not the best defensive framer, but he hit homers. Alvarez, he has power. I think his defense definitely could use some more work. Hey, why not? Go for it, right? But I think that's going to be the thing with Alvarez. I think why call him up now? Because I would hate for him to be called up now and he's not ready. That would really be unfortunate. If he were to get called up right now and not be ready, that would really suck. Because then our whole fan base would say he's a bust and heckle him and boo him and tell him to get off the field. So, listen, and listen, a lot of prospects aren't fully, breakout guys their first season. I get it. You only have a handful of guys that have great rookie seasons. I'm not saying you're going to have a 2019 Lonzo or a 2001 Ichiro. I'm not saying that, but I don't want to call him up if he's not ready. Let him play in AAA. I think this year with Alvarez, he'll go to AAA. And then maybe in March, that'll be the topic of that'll be the topic of talk is Francisco Alvarez ready to start on opening day? I think that's a great way to go about it. Peter says if the Mets want to be competitive in the second half, they have to do something from their 7 through 9. Yeah, hopefully you just heard my little rant. Mothman Evolve, what's going on? He says, can't we make a trade? You could. Obviously, this is the thing. You don't want to look desperate because no team wins a trade when they're desperate. And as of right now, with the way the Mets are, I think they're going to be desperate for a DH and relief pitchers. I think you're going to have to wait till the deadline. I think you'll get Scherzer back. Hopefully Scherzer could start, I don't know, next week because he's done with his rehab starts. So you get Scherzer back. So that'll give the bullpen a little bit of break, a little bit of rest. Hopefully, I mean, I know a lot of Mets fans weren't crazy about Trevor May, but hopefully he can come back. He's just an arm. I mean, maybe, it depends if you're going from a quality to quantity approach, quantity over quality, whatever. But, I mean, going back to what I was saying, I mean, hopefully you can get May back soon. Right now the bullpen is going to need work, and that's what you're going to go after at the deadline. Epler said he would like some bullpen and a DH, and that he wouldn't give up many prospects for it. And I think that's reasonable. If you don't touch your top 5 and, let's say you're talking about your 14th, 15th, your Jalen Palmers and, your 28th pick, that's fine. But I don't want to be trading away your 5th round pick for a rental because that happened last year. Remember, we traded away Pete Armstrong, the 5th round, the Mets' 5th prospect, outfielder, for Baez and Williams. Baez is gone, so that was a rental, and Williams. And PCA isn't worth Williams. I'm sorry. But we'll see. But, yeah, I mean, just overall, Mets are going to make a trade at the deadline. I think they're going to be making a lot of noise at the deadline. I think it's not going to be the typical Sandy Alderson, wait till the last minute and get – no. Epler's going to probably make a move even before the deadline day. I think the deadline was moved to August 3rd or 2nd or something this year, supposed to the 31st. But we got a month till the deadline about. And I mean, so yeah, overall, we're going to have to see how that goes. I think it'll be really interesting to see, how the Mets plan to, I guess, go after at the deadline. But overall, I mean, I have full trust in Billy Epler and Steve Cohen at this deadline to be aggressive. I mean, there's dozens of suitable characters out there they can go after, whether that's a CJ Crone. I mean, as of right now, teams are tanking, whether it's the Reds, the Rockies, your teams that haven't really been winning the last couple of years, they're going to be clearing house probably. So whether you go call Colorado, get CJ Crone, call the Reds, get Luis Castillo, someone. They've been saying Trey Mancini. That's an okay pick. I mean, he's 30 years old. I thought he was much older. 30 years old. Been having a pretty good season. I mean, the power numbers aren't there, but also consider that Camden Yards, the left field wall got screwed. But he would have 17 home runs at Citi Field, and that's definitely something I would take. That'd be second on the team. So I would definitely accept that. So, yeah, I mean, there's plenty of guys out there. Trey says, who could the Mets trust in the New York Mets rotation? As of right now, I mean, I have trust in Bassett. I think the main reason people are questioning the rotation now is because of Carrasco's back-to-back, weary starts. And, am I a little worried with Carrasco's start? Yeah. Do I think the back tightness had something to do with it? It could have. Mechanically, he looked pretty much the same. I mean, yeah, you're talking about one of the best lineups in the league taking advantage of him. So, I mean, okay. It's not like it was against, the Reds or the Cubs lineup. If that was the case, then I would be worried. But as of right now, am I worried about this rotation? No. And honestly, Trey, even if I were to be, you get DeGrom and Scherzer back. But who do I trust in this rotation? I mean, I have trust in Peterson. I really do. I mean, obviously, I think he'll probably go back to the bullpen, when DeGrom and Scherzer come back. But, I mean, I have to an extent trust in him. I have trust in Bassett. I have trust in Walker. Carrasco, 50-50. We'll see. Williams has earned my trust for the most part. Sports fan says, who could the Mets add to bolster bullpens at the deadline? Jorge Lopez from the Orioles. He could be a great setup man for us and cost a little bit. To be honest, I couldn't tell you much about Jorge Lopez. I really don't know a lot about him. I know that he's having a pretty good season with Baltimore. I heard like one or two things about him. The setup man role is something the Mets are going to have to address at the deadline, considering what's going on with Seth Lugo. I mean, this dude has just not been himself, unfortunately, the last couple seasons. So, I think that's going to be of question is what's going to go on, with the setup man role. I mean, do you put Trevor May in a role like that when he returns from the IL? May also has been struggling. His fastball hasn't been as meaty, and he's been having some issues at times too with locating the zone. So, we're going to have to see. I think obviously Baltimore could be a suitable guy, considering that Buck Showalter used to be the manager there. like they said, Trey Mancini and Showalter used to be, on the same team when Showalter was managing over there. So who knows? Maybe Baltimore could be a suitable favorite. Maybe we'll see how the Angels do. I mean, they're obviously, still playing 500 ball, but you have the Epler relationship there, and you have the Oakland relationship with Sandy Alderson. So we'll see. Trey says the time is now for the Mets to promote Mark Vientos. He's a better option than especially Escobar, who can't hit like a corner infielder anymore. Yeah. I mean, also, I don't know if you're adding this on, but he says Smith doesn't hit enough either to be a corner infielder or DH. Vientos is what the Mets need there now and could be a rising star in touch he makes. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think as of right now, I mean, people have been throwing out the names Vientos and Alvarez to DH right now. And I mean, right now, Vientos is putting up an okay season in the minor leagues. I believe he just started in Double-A recently. I mean, he is definitely a big power guy, has insane power. People have made the argument, could he be the next Lonzo when it comes to power? The 22-year-old right now currently has a slash line of 247, 350, and an OPS of 845. Okay, not bad. The OPS is there. The on-base percentage is there. The 13 homers, 35 Rbis, 48 hits. Not bad. Considering that he just made Syracuse, I mean, this is AAA, my apologies. He went from Binghamton to Syracuse last year and then started this year in AAA. He's been having an okay season for the most part. I definitely think favorable. Do I think he's going to hit at the major league level right now? We'll see. But I think right now it doesn't hurt to give him a shot. I would like his numbers to get a little bit better before he gets called up. But, I mean, hey, can it beat what Escobar can't do? Hayden says, what do you think the Mets will do at the deadline? Well, I think bullpen is obviously like the number one idea. I think the Mets are definitely going to target some bullpen depth and obviously a DH because right now, you're looking at the DH role for the Mets and you're getting really no production out of it. I mean, you think to yourself, why don't you just have the pitchers hit? Because if you're going to have Dom Smith and J.D. Davis and, Eduardo Escobar, not really be able to hit the ball, well, then, what's the point of really having a DH? So I think DH, bullpen arms. I don't think you'll go after a starter just because you're getting DeGrom and Scherzer back. And I mean, you'll have like a full-on rotation then, considering that no one else gets hurt, knock on wood. I don't know what's going on with Tyler McGill. I know he was placed on the 60-day, but I don't know if that's 60 days or if it's just they put him on there to make roster room. And that may as well could be the case. So we're also going to have to see how, I guess, those two guys, fare. But at the deadline, I think overall, bullpen and DH, those will be the two, I guess, big things that will be addressed. Alex says, LFGM, did you see the Padres City Connect jerseys? I saw them briefly. I saw the jerseys. I didn't see the hats or pants, but they looked okay. Nice neon, very colorful. Would I buy one? Maybe. They look okay. Kobe says, random question, but have you ever tried the Polar Bear Burger at Citi Field? I have not. I haven't been to Citi Field since 2019, and I believe the Polar Bear Burger came out last year, I want to say. So, no, I have unfortunately not had the Polar Bear Burger at all recently. So, hopefully next time I'm up in Citi Field or up in New York, I'll be able to go to a Mets game, and that'll be the number one thing I'm going for. I mean, usually I go for like pizza or Shake Shack, but definitely the Polar Bear Burger is what I'll be hunting for. Definitely next time I am back at Citi Field. Ruben says, did you see the Angels and Mariners brawl? That was crazy, man. Yeah, it was. Really unfortunate. Trey says, J.D. Davis can't hit a fastball to save his life. I'm tired of his hard hit numbers. Mets let Brandon Drury slip through their fingers. Look at what he's doing in Cincinnati. He literally has more home runs than Escobar, Davis, Dom, and all Mets catchers combined. Wonder if we could potentially trade for him. Wouldn't that be funny? Yeah, that'd be pretty dumb if you trade for a guy that you let walk. And I mean, no one really thought that Brandon Drury would really be a crazy breakout player. Yeah, Drury's having a phenomenal season in Cincinnati right now. I was at the Reds game on Father's Day, and I think I saw him actually get a home run or a base hit. He got on base, I know, because I remember making the joke, oh, maybe he could do that with the Mets. But, yeah. So, I mean, overall, Drury could be a guy also to explore. I mean, the Reds definitely probably will be active. I know Castillo's a name. Edwin Diaz's brother, I forgot his name, but he's also a bullpen guy. Brandon Drury. So we'll see. Also, Albert Almora, both guys, Almora and Drury, are having phenomenal seasons out there. Are they going to come to the Mets and are they going to do that? I don't know. Cal says, should the Mets try and target Trey Mancini at the deadline? I hear they won't have to give up much for him. Yeah, I mean, if you don't have to give up much for Mancini, I would be for it. I don't want to give up any of the top 5 prospects. We'll see. I think it's definitely possible, like I said. Connor, what's going on, man? No worries. Don't sweat it. Glad you're here, though. Kobe says, very impressive defense from Luis Guillorme. I completely underestimated him in March. But likewise, man, I said that before. I did too. Trey says, did the Astros hit Carrasco well when he was with the Indians? Maybe they are very familiar with him from his time in the American League. Yeah, I asked myself that before, and honestly, I really couldn't tell you. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea what his numbers were like when he was with Cleveland against them. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you, but it could be a familiarity type thing that may as well be a possibility. As of right now, I just really couldn't tell you. Connor says, Manfred said today that we have an automated strike zone in 2024. Thoughts, as long as it isn't programmed by Angel Hernandez. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of interested to see how the program thing works. I think there's going to be a lot of issues with it, and there will be, but they'll have to work through it, obviously. I guess it's, right now, umpires, I mean, have they been atrociously bad? Yeah. I mean, I think, there are some calls where I'm thinking to myself, like, how does this dude have a job? How is he still employed by MLB? And then there's some other times where they put up good games, I guess. But as of right now, I think it's for the best. Obviously, you'll have a man call. There'll still be an umpire, a human behind the machine, and they'll be the ones giving the strike or ball or strike 3 call. But they're going to be getting it from the automated strike machine, and I think that's probably for the best. Sports fan says, Hayden, get Epler on the phone and tell him to make a deal with the Rockies, Dom, and Vientos for Crone and Bard. Yeah, I can. Let me get my phone here. Hey, Billy Epler, can you? Absolutely. I mean, Smith. So you get Smith and Vientos. I don't know if you have to give up a little bit more than that. I don't know if Colorado would take that unless they're like really just desperate and don't want them. Bard could be a nice bullpen option considering his numbers are pretty adequate playing in Coors Field. I did have him on fantasy for a little bit last year. I know he is their closer. Obviously, he could be a possible setup man or bulk, reliever, the 37-year-old veteran. 3-12 this season, 2.12 ERA, 15 saves, 29 2/3 inning, 36 strikeouts, 0.94 whips. Yeah, I mean, above average stats definitely for the least, especially for a reliever. And playing at Coors Field, so that definitely is an advantage there. Crone also having a phenomenal season. Power machine. Definitely nice power behind Lonzo. Peter says, do you like the Apple TV and Peacock broadcasts? The only one I liked of Apple TV is when Wayne Randazzo was on it, but tonight I'm probably just going to mute it and listen to Howie Rose because I'm not listening to these people talk about Brazilian food and whatever they talked about last time. I'm not interested in that. It's one thing if you make it interesting, but they just make it sound boring. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez, Ron Darling, they talk about good stuff, but at least they make it exciting and they have enthusiasm. These other people, these Melanie Newman, whatever her name is, and Chris Young, they're just boring. Daniel, what's going on? Devin, long time no see, man. Hope you're doing well. He says, let's go Mets. How many RBIs do you think Pete Alonso will finish the season with? Well, considering right now he has 69 and we're about, 75 games in, I could easily see like 130, 140. I really do. Do you like the Friday night black jerseys? Yeah, I like them. Biggest threat to the Mets in the second half? Ooh, that's a tough question. I mean, as of right now, I think there's a lot. I think it has to be the Braves. I get it. You haven't had Acuna for a bit, but I think he's back, and I get it. You're not going to have Rbis for a bit. So I guess you take 1 foot. So pretty much you're taking a step forward and then a step backwards there. I don't know when they're going to get Soroka back. But regardless, I mean, at the deadline last year, we saw they made the moves they needed to make to be successful, and I think they're going to do something like that again. If Rbis is still out in August, they're going to go out and get, some guy that could play his position. And Michael Harris Jr., or the third, whatever his name is, he's been doing a phenomenal job filling in his role. So as of right now, I mean, when it comes to it, I think it's been really intriguing. And I think it's going to be really tough to, say who's the team that's the biggest threat. But I think it has to be the Braves for the NL East, at least. I mean, there's other teams, the Dodgers, but looking at the NL East, it's definitely the Braves. I would probably say the Braves. Phillies are definitely up there. I mean, they're, I think 3 or so games above 500, so that's not bad. But I just think it has to be the Braves. I just think that the Braves have shown that they don't need talent at sometimes, and they could just automatically be successful without it. And we saw it last year. Like I said, they get the guys who come up into clutch when it matters, and they get the job done. So, I mean, we'll see how their deadline goes. They're probably going to be very active at the deadline, considering they were last year. And, hey, can you blame them? They should be. So I think it has to be the Braves. I mean, I get it. They're 3.5 games back. If the Mets continue to, play over 500 ball, I get it. The Braves, they're on a hot streak. I mean, they had a phenomenal June. I think they were like 28-11 or something like that. Well, not in June, but something around those lines. And, in the last like 30, 40 games, they've really been a hot ball club. So, I mean, if the Mets can, whenever the Mets play them, that's the time where they could prevent it. And those games are going to be important. Because people say, it doesn't matter until September, August. No. If you play the Braves tomorrow, those are going to be big. I think any division rival game is huge. Every single game counts because you can miss the playoffs by one game. We saw in 2019, it came down to the last week. Anything can happen, honestly. So, I mean, we're going to have to see, how things can go. So we will see. Give me 1 second. Okay. So, I do apologize about that. But, I mean, I think it's the Braves. Trey says, from here on out, the Mets actually have the easiest schedule in the league. Very encouraging. I've heard that, but I want to see their July schedule. I believe that because I've seen some of it. So you start off with the Rangers. You play 3 against the Reds in Cincinnati, 4 against the Marlins at home, 3 against the Braves in Atlanta, 4 against the Cubs in Chicago, 3 against the Padres at home, 2 against the Yankees at home, 3 against the Marlins at Miami. So that's, I mean, is it like, an easy month? I don't want to think it's like, this will be a piece of cake. I think you're definitely capable of taking 2 of 3 from the Rangers. I think you're definitely capable of sweeping the Reds, at worst 2 of 3. I think you could definitely split or take 3 from the Marlins. Braves, that'll be the challenge. Cubs, I think you're definitely capable of taking, winning all 4 would be great, but I think you're definitely capable of taking 2 or 3. Padres, that could be a challenge. Yankees, a challenge. Marlins are always a sneaky team, and they definitely have been good this season. So, should you finish above 500? Yeah, you should. And then you start off August, you play some in-division games. Listen, when you're playing against these bad teams, that's when you beat up on them. That's exactly the time you do. So, you play the Reds after this series. I hope you can try and, feast up on that. That's be the perfect opportunity to get the stats, inflated and, get confidence back. So we'll see. And I did go over that. Hopefully you did hear. As of right now, I would say wait till next year. But, so otherwise, we're going to have to see how that goes overall ahead. I'm pretty excited, for the New York Mets tonight. I will be watching them at 7:10. Obviously, the Mets are playing on Apple TV at 7:10 tonight against the Texas Rangers at home. So we're going to have to see how things can go down the line from there. Super exciting. We're probably going to call this stream here. I really do appreciate everyone for tuning in as always. In today's stream, we went over the New York Mets and the Houston Astros series summary. Then we transitioned into the New York Mets and the Houston Astros series summary. And then we went into the New York Mets and the Texas Rangers series preview. We also went over some Mets comments, news, talked about, some of the players slumping, talking about some possible deadline suitors. So if you guys are rewatching this on replay, definitely let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Who do you want to go after at the deadline? What position do you think needs to be, talked about? How do you feel about the Mets going into July? The one more, couple, 2 more weeks till the second half, I guess, kind of begins. Are you excited? Are you nervous? Are you panicking? Scale of 1 to 10. Let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, I appreciate you guys for tuning in. As always, like I said, please, everyone, smash that like button, turn on those post notifications. Tell your friends about this channel, obviously. Let's try and get to 700 subs. Definitely. I know subscriber count has been kind of frozen for a little bit. So let's try, and I get an email from the Mets. Funny. Let's try and get out there a little bit more. If you know anyone, have any friends, let them know. Say, hey, subscribe to my boy Hayden. He does great baseball content. You don't have to be a Mets fan. I just love talking all baseball overall. You could be a Mets fan. You could be a Phillies fan. You could be a Rangers fan. You could be a Blue Jays fan. I'm wearing my Vladimir Guerrero Jr. jersey just for the stream because, hey, why not? May as well rep the Blue Jays, Toronto, right? So definitely do all of that. Definitely would be very much appreciated. So we are going to have to see how this Mets ball team can play in the next couple weeks. Otherwise, I appreciate you for tuning in as always. Like I said, everyone, please smash that like button, turn on those post notifications, tell your friends about this channel, obviously. Let's try and get to 700 subscribers very shortly. That would be ideal in my opinion. Appreciate you guys for tuning in as always. Definitely, I get it. A lot of people have been, very weary on the Mets recently. And listen, I understand everyone's point. I really do. I mean, this will be my final thought and my final say for today's stream. I understand everyone's point. I mean, as Mets fans, you lose one game and the season's over. But, after last year, I don't really think any lead is safe to say. Considering on what happened last year, how the Mets started off 114 days in first place and then collapsed, I think that was really sad. Do I think the Mets will do that this year? I think it'd be much more harder considering that you get DeGrom and Scherzer back and the Mets will make a big move at the deadline. Last year, the difference between last year and now is at the deadline, you got Baez. And it was only Baez, Alonzo, and Nimmo carrying the Mets last year, obviously. In the first half, it was just Alonzo and Nimmo. And then they brought in Baez in the second half to be like that 2015 Cespedes step in. But unfortunately, baseball's a team effort. It's not just 2 or 3 people. You need more. So as of right now, Nimmo's doing a great job. McNeil's been phenomenal. Alonso's been phenomenal. Marte's been great. Canna's been great. But you've been getting guys like McCann, Smith, Davis, Escobar, who have not. But if you have more guys performing than none, that's better. And then you go with the deadline and you get a guy who could really, bolster up this roster, that's great. Like I said, 2015, the Mets, going into the second half, they didn't really have any crazy hitters. But they got the guys that mattered and would come into clutch when it mattered. That's the thing is, when you look at stats and you say, oh, this guy doesn't have a good average or, bad OPS, low OPS. I mean, at the end of the day, as long as they come up to clutch when it matters and come into effect when it matters. That's why the Braves won the World Series last year. Simple as that. That is why the Braves won the World Series last year. And no one really thought Jock Peterson, Eddie Rosario, and Jorge Soler would be elite hitters, but they provided the offense and provided what needed to be done when it really mattered. Simple enough just to say. So if the Mets can try and get that this deadline, that would be huge. As of right now, the Mets are still at home. They're played 3 games against the Rangers. If you could take 2 of 3, go for it. Rangers 36-38, 2 games under 500. They've been hot, so I'm not going to count them out and say, oh, they're under 500. They're a bad team. That's not officially true. They are hot. They're definitely doing a pretty good job. So we'll see right now. I mean, I think it's going to be really intriguing to see how the Mets goes in the next couple days. I mean, right now, am I panicking? No. But if I see what I'm seeing right now for the next 2 weeks, if I see that in this series, the Red Series, then we could definitely start coming on here and start bringing back the Mets rage streams. I remember last year, if you guys didn't follow me last year, In the second half, I think I just titled all my streams like Mets Rage with Hayden because I was just full on like fed up. And I never really raged. I think I just titled that like I never threw my chair. I have not raged at all this year. So pat on the back to me. I think I did pretty well with that. But that's my little rant. Definitely appreciate you guys for tuning in. Final comment from Joe, and then we'll get out of here. He says, I think the Mets need a bit of a spark player like Vientos. Exactly, man. A guy just to provide something new. I agree. So appreciate you guys for tuning in to the stream as always. Please, everyone, smash that like button. Turn on those post notifications. Tell your friends about this channel. And, of course, much more. Really appreciate you guys for tuning in to today's stream. We had a great dialogue. LFGM, Mets play the Texas Rangers tonight. 3-game set. I'll be back here for the next stream in a couple days. Till next time, baseball fans. See ya.